Hi, good morning, good day, good afternoon. Goodness, it's after 12 o'clock. Another Monday session. Thank you to all the occupiers of White City Place for being here and connecting this way while we can stay well, even though we're not with our community in the workplace, but this kind of connects us in that way from our own homes. So thanks for being here and joining us and making this happen. So Meditation Mondays. Really, I just wanted to use today to round up a lot of the things that I've spoken about in previous sessions, so that you have a good kind of overview of some of the myths about meditation, some of the tricks to use, if you haven't done any of my meditations before. So I'm going to kind of cover everything that we've talked about in the past. So one of the things I always like to say with every meditation session is, why do we meditate? And one of the reasons for that is that we learn to respond to life rather than react. And you can think of that, if you like, in a kind of in a timing way, So when we react, normally we can associate that with knee-jerk reactions, as opposed to when we respond, it's more of a kind of contemplative response, or there's enough time for us not to react emotionally. We're kind of we are reacting, but we're responding in a more meditative way, in a more meditated response, if that makes sense. So we do that through meditation. So we just learn to kind of slow down our reactions, slow down our mind. The other thing I wanted to talk about, lots of things I want to talk about to cover off, but you might hear a lot of times when people talk about meditating, that you have to empty your mind. That's probably one of the biggest hurdles that's got in the way of meditation becoming more mainstream than it is already. And that is because, you can't empty your mind of thoughts, and neither do you want to. Your brain is brilliant. It's designed to think. And so you don't want to stop all those thoughts. But I think what people mean, what they're trying to say when you're meditating, is don't get attached to your thoughts. So you can't stop having the thoughts coming in. There's two ways of looking at this. One is that you don't get attached to the thoughts. So you don't get attached to the narrative. You don't go on a little kind of story with the thought. And then the other thing is, with thoughts, is to kind of notice the quality of the thoughts that come in when you're meditating. So by that, I mean that sometimes when we're in a good, quiet space, and we feel like we've cleared our mind, that means that we've just kind of settled down the activity a bit, so we can think a bit more clearly. Sometimes when we're in that state, we can have a more of a creative thought or an insight. So that's a useful thought. And sometimes we might meditate just to kind of arrive at that place. So that's obviously not a thought that you want to flick out the way. Versus maybe a sort of bad quality thought would be, not a bad quality, but a lesser good thought would be, a domestic thought, like, I'm ruminating over an argument that I had with a friend. Or maybe on a more, subtle scale, thinking about what you're going to have for dinner tonight. They're not bad thoughts. I mean, that's not a bad thought, but it's really not helpful to keep you in the present moment. And it's not an important enough thought that you have to work out while you're meditating. So it's learning to understand when you're meditating, that when you do have thoughts coming in, recognizing the type of thought that it is. Most of them are not needed. And it does take a long time to let everything settle down. When I say a long time, I mean, if you're meditating for 20 minutes, it might take up to 10 minutes for some of the clutter to settle down and to create that clearer, not totally clear, but clearer space to have a more insightful thought. If it happens, it might not. It might just be that you're having a nice relaxed meditative time and that you're just really, really focusing on your point of focus at the time, whatever that might be. It could be breath. It could be looking at the back of your eyelids, seeing what comes up there. It could be your body sensations. There's many things that we can do in meditation, and I'll take you through a whole run of them when we start in a moment. So, yeah, thoughts are important, but it's what you do with the thought that's more important. So when you're meditating and you notice a thought come in, and it's one of those ruminating thoughts, or it's one of those thoughts, domestic thoughts that you don't really need right now, you can just go, okay, there it is, and then come back to your focus. You just don't give it any leg room. You just don't get into that story of what it might be. So if you think about your thoughts and you think about meditation, what you're aiming for is you're aiming to increase the space between your thoughts. So if you're sitting trying to meditate and a thought comes up about, oh, I've got to remember to do something, that's fine. Come back to your focus. And then that space starts again until your next thought. So when you're new at meditation, it might be that your the spaces between are kind of like that. You have a thought, and then it's like another little tiny space between, and then you have a thought, and then there's when you've done it a few more times, those spaces between might be that size, and then you have another thought. And then it might get a little bit bigger as meditation increases, and then you have another thought. So you're still going to have the thoughts. You just want to really focus on the space between, trying to make that longer until your next thought comes in, which it will. And everybody has that. So it's perfectly fine. The practice of meditation is noticing that you're having the thoughts and returning to the focus. That's the work. That's what it is. It doesn't just happen. And that's the other thing I wanted to say. Meditation doesn't happen to you from the outside. It's not something that you have to be skilled at or especially spiritual for. It just can't. It doesn't come at you from the outside. You have this ability inside of you. If you can breathe, you can meditate. Science has really opened this up for us. It's taken it away from the very deeply esoteric spiritual practice. Nothing wrong with that, and it's wonderful. And sometimes, it's really nice to get into that. But in terms of it being an accessible practice for everybody, and when I say everybody, I mean, over all religions, when you know that there's science behind it, then you understand that your brain is a mechanical, wonderful organ, but it's programmed. It's programmed by how we perceive the world and what we tell it. It's not about anybody else or any kind of spiritual being coming down and making us, a more spiritual person or more meditative. It's really about how you choose to live your life and how you choose to see the world. So science is great for that. So it's shown us, different images on the brain during meditation and what happens to different parts of your brain. And that's really important and brilliant discovery, for people who have anxiety or are prone to depression. When you know that different parts of your brain light up when you're meditating that might respond to those areas of the brain that are triggered through anxiety, for example, then that's really useful to know. And it's that kind of information that everybody needs to know. So it's accessible for everybody, and it's not something that happens to you. You happen to it. You bring in meditation yourself. Okay, now the other thing is the past has gone, the future hasn't arrived yet. So does that make them real? No. What's real, and the only thing that's real right now, is the present moment. Right now, this minute, this present moment is the only thing that's real, even though this present moment is moving, because what I said 2 seconds ago has gone, right? So your perception of the past is the only thing that makes it real. And that's lovely when we have good memories, and it's really useful as well to think about good, happy times, and you can bring that feeling into your life. You know, remembering the happy times or laughing about a memory. These are all really, really good things. It's not useful when we create stories around negative memories, or we think that we're doomed to live a certain way because of the way our parents might have been, or something that we saw, you know. So the past is not real in the way that it's not there anymore. So you can't touch the past; it doesn't exist. And the future isn't real. It's great when we get excited about, going on holiday, or an exciting presentation that you're going to do, or somebody you're going to see that you haven't seen for a really long time, or when this whole pandemic's over, yay, positive future thought, fine, great. But again, it's not real. And we use a lot of our future thought time to worry. We're worried about, what's going to happen tomorrow? And what if this pandemic, goes on longer than blah, blah, or what about my job, and stuff that we can't control. So again, if we can just try and let go of thinking about the future, try and let go of thinking about the past, and just be really, really present, we'll always make the best out of our present situation, which you won't get again, because time is constantly moving us forward. So that's an important thing I just wanted to talk about, because also when you can stop yourself thinking about the past and stop yourself thinking about the future, then you are free. You're free. You're free from suffering. So that's a really, really important thing for you to think about. And also, every moment that we have in our life is a fleeting moment. It's a fleeting moment. So you can change your perception of life every second. If you get up in the morning and you're in a bad mood, you can either choose to stay in that bad mood, or you can recognize it and go, no, I don't have to feel like this. I can change it. I do have the choice. No one else is going to do it for me. I have to make that choice. Not always easy, of course, but you do have a choice, and every moment is fleeting, and every moment you get a chance to start again and again, however many more times you need to do it. Then you become the captain of your ship. So if you want to think about that more and imagine a ship on the ocean without a captain to steer it, to navigate it, your ship would just be floating all over the sea with no direction. Where would it go? So you need to be the captain of your ship, which is your mind, pretty much. And your mind and body work really closely together. So if you can look after your mind, it'll really help look after your body as well. But that's probably another conversation. That would take too long, but the two are linked through the vagus nerve, which starts in your brainstem and goes all the way down into your gut. And it's a two-way highway that communicates from the gut to the brain, from the brain to the gut. And along that highway, there's lots of little roads that come off the highway that go to your organs. And depending on your stress level, so if you are stressed, your sympathetic nervous system kicks in, which is your fight or flight. I prefer to call it your action response. Or there's your relaxed response, which is your parasympathetic nervous system. Now, your vagus nerve sends messages up and down this highway and to the organs. And if you are stressed, it will shut off the organs that you don't need temporarily. And that's the key word, temporarily. You don't want to be stressed for too long. We have this stress response because of our ancestral days when we had to keep ourselves safe and run away from danger. That's not the case anymore. We hang on to that stress for too long. And when you are super stressed, if you were running away from danger, what happens is that your heart speeds up to send the oxygenated blood around your body quicker so that it can then go to the muscles, so you've got more strength to either run or fight. It also cuts off your digestion because it needs all its energy resources to go into this fight or flight response. Your pupils dilate, you are on, which is great when you need to really get something done for 5-10 minutes, but not for a prolonged stress response. The relaxed response, those little superhighways, little roads off that, will also go to those same organs, and it will either help digest your body. So when you're relaxed, your digestion is going to be so much better. It'll slow down your heart rate, so your blood isn't zooming around your body too quickly. Your pupils come back to a normal size, and you can live a much more balanced life. So we want a little bit of both, because we need to be able, if we just had parasympathetic nervous system response, we wouldn't even get out of bed in the morning. So that's why I like to call a stress response an action response, because it means that you've got to actually do something. So we need it, but we also need this nice relaxed response to balance things out. So that is why we have them both. All right, I'm looking at the time now, and I could go on talking like this for a long, long time, way too long. So I'm going to just start with the meditation, and we're going to go through lots of things that we've done before. So it'll be very much more of a mindful meditation, i.e. I'm not going to kind of leave you, sitting in a quiet spot, unguided for any length of time. I'm going to be talking through most of it. So get yourself nice and comfortable. That's the first step. So that you can then close your eyes and allow yourself to be in the moment. So close down your eyes. Get a really good sense of how your body is feeling right now. So just start to notice, how does my body feel? Am I shuffling a bit to get comfortable? Is there anything I need to adjust so that I can sit? And also accept that it takes a few minutes to allow all of your shuffling and thoughts in your mind to settle down. So don't even look to meditate at this point. Don't think about that. Just allow yourself to get really comfortable. Because when we're comfortable, we're far more able to be aware, to notice things. If we're distracted by discomfort, we're less likely to notice the things around us. And helps keep us in the present. So when we're noticing, when we're being aware, we are in our present moment state. And that's our happiest state to be in, by the way. So just taking a moment to let everything settle down. And then, without changing anything, just notice your breath. And there's many things to notice about your breath. You can notice whether your breath is long, whether it's short, deep, or shallow. whether you feel yourself breathing into just your upper chest or all the way into your diaphragm, which will make it feel like your belly is expanding. And then just go back again to how your body is feeling. If there's anywhere in your body that you can soften any muscles that feel like they're on alert. These can be tiny muscles in your fingers, in your ankles, in your kneecaps, in your calf, in your shoulders, your jawline, your eyes, your eyelids, between your eyes. And I want you to let go of all of your breath. So push all of your breath out. Even if you breathed out already, just push out that last bit. There's always more. And I'm going to breathe in for 5. I'll count you. Inhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold your breath here. 4, 5, 6, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let it go. So just breathe normally. Now, I didn't tell you what numbers I was going to use then, because I just wanted it as an experiment, and you will know whether or not you ran out of breath, whether you were able to hold it that long, and how much breath you had left to breathe out. So we are going to do it again and see if you can spot the difference. So this time it is going to be the 5 in, holding it for 6, and then out for 7 or 8. But now that you know how long, see then if you can facilitate it so that you take in enough breath on that inhale so that you can then hold it and then very slowly let it go on the exhale. Don't rush it, otherwise you'll run out of breath until you get to the end, which might have happened on the first one. It's just a little trial for you to see. All right, so again, letting go of all of your breath, let it all go, push it all out. Now inhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold the breath in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let it go slowly, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let it go. Have a rest. So when I say have a rest, just breathe normally. Your body will know exactly what to do. Just allow your breath to do its normal thing. I'm going to do one more of these. This time, though, we're going to increase the length of the inhale. We're going to shorten the length that we hold it, and we're going to extend the length that we let it go. So we're going to be breathing in for 7. So that means you're going to have to start slower than you just did for the 5. We're only going to hold it for 3. And then we're going to let it out for 10. So you're going to really slow it on the way back down, okay? But you're taking more oxygen in at the beginning. So you'll just be aware of how you react to these different breathing techniques. All right, so again, letting go of all your breath. Inhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold it, 2, 3, slowly out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let it go. Again, relax into your normal breath. And let this little space between just be a little kind of resting room in your mind to let your breath do its normal thing. And while you're resting there, I'll just explain the next breathing exercise. It's called square breath. And to start with, we're just going to use the number 4. Now, if you imagine a square, it's got even sides. So every side of the square is going to be 4 seconds long. So you're going to be breathing, don't start now, I'll start with you, but you'll be breathing up, imagine the left side of the square from the bottom, breathing up from the bottom side of the square, up the left-hand side for 4, then you'll be holding it in across the top of the square for 4, you'll be breathing it out down the right-hand side of the square for 4, and then holding it at the very bottom out for 4. That's probably the hardest bit. If you run out of steam holding the last one out, then just start your square again. But I'm going to talk you through the first square, and then I'm going to let you do a few on your own. So again, letting go of all your breath. Breathing in up the left side. 3, 4, hold it across the top. 3, 4, let the breath go down the side. 3, 4, hold the breath out. 3, 4, and again, off you go. Just keep going in your own time, and as you're doing it, just notice a few things about your body, particularly when you're holding in your breath along the top of the square. Are your shoulders rising, or can you let them just soften? Can you really soften doing these square breaths? Just keep going in your own time. And if you've been doing some of the squares, taking really big breaths to do them, see if you can still do the squares, but just with very shallow breath. And a shallow breath can still breathe all the way into the belly. It's just not a big exaggerated breath. So see if you can do it quite calmly. These little squares, just keeping the breath very cool, not too big, not too small. Enough to feel the belly expand on the inhale, but not huge. It's just an experiment. Just doing 2 more of these squares in your own time. if you finished the squares, and there's no rush, just have a rest with your breath. It's quite literally a breather. Just allow yourself to soften into that space. Let it go. And notice how your body recovers. If it gets softer once you let go of the breath. Let go of that conscious breathing. And while you're sitting here, start listening for sounds around your space. So it may be that it's quite quiet, and there can be that really beautiful sound of silence where you can almost sense a buzz of silence. You can almost hear the silence. Or it might be, even if you're in a quiet space, sometimes you can hear traffic at a distance. You know, sometimes that's a low hum, or it might be a plane going overhead, cars going down the road. It could be neighbors in your street or in their houses next to you or above you if you're in a flat, below you. It might be people in your own house. It might be a dishwasher. Anything at all. And then just take your focus to the back of your eyelids. Now, whatever comes up behind your eyelids, patterns, shapes, colors, whatever it is that you can see, just watch the screen of your eyelids. Watch the patterns change, or maybe see if you can hang on to one of those patterns before it moves away. Sometimes when we try and focus on a shape or a color behind our eyelids, we find that it moves away, and sometimes that's our focus. We think we're focusing on it, but actually we're not. Just trying to keep hold of it, but also accepting that when it does change, it changes, and then the next thing you see there takes its place. So this can be a really nice focal point. If you find your mind getting distracted, remember the idea about the thoughts, whether they're useful thoughts or really they're just domestic thoughts that don't need to be looked at right now or listened to. You can just let them go and then come back to what you can see behind your eyelids. So it's just really noticing that they're there and then going, okay, back to my focal point. Doesn't matter how often you have to do that. Remember, you're trying to increase the space between the thoughts. Find the mind wandering, just come back to the focus. Now I'm going to start another conscious breath exercise. Now this one is coherent breathing, where we keep the in-breath and the out-breath exactly the same length. And we're going to do this for 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out, and I will count you for the first few, and then let you just continue and see if you can keep the same speed. But the practice here is how much breath to take in, at what speed, and the same on the out breath, so that you can get them even. Quite often we'll breathe in an awful lot, and then we breathe out on the exhale too quickly, so that we've still got a few seconds left with no breath left. So it's about slowing it down enough that it's even for every second as you exhale and as you breathe in. So you create this really lovely balanced wave of in and out. So it'll take a few goes before you feel, yeah, okay, I'm taking in the right amount of breath. I'm letting go of the right amount of breath. All right, so again, just let go of all of your breath. Push out the last little bit. And now inhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in. Just keep going your own pace. It's the same thing with the thoughts. Any thoughts that might come into your mind, just come back to that counting. And if you get to the point where the counting starts to feel a little bit like it's happening subconsciously, then just notice how the body feels as you're doing that. And also notice the quality of your breath. If it feels quite staggered, or if it feels smooth and long, more like silk than anything else. So many things can happen when we start doing this coherent breath in and coherent breath out. It can become subconscious, and that's when, if we're not careful, our thoughts start to come back in again because we're used to the counting. So when you start to notice that, just bring your attention to the back of your eyelids again and let that be your focus, and just see if you can keep the coherent breath going in the background. And then just let the counting go. Let the counting go and just allow your breath to relax. Come back into that really nice, easy space. There's no thought, no conscious effort. Just let it all go. And start to bring the sounds back into your space. So you might find that as you were doing your meditation, the sounds were less so, you were less engaged in the sounds around you, but they were still there. So you're just kind of bringing them back into your consciousness now. And then really noticing your body, how your body feels, any sensations anywhere. And then very gently just start to wiggle your toes and your fingers and bring yourselves back. Very gently opening your eyes, just bringing the light very slowly. And welcome back. I hope. Just looking at the time now to see how long you were, so you can know. Yeah, you were meditating for about 25 minutes there, so that's a really nice time. And I hope that you can then use those breath exercises that we did at the beginning in a regular practice. That's what we do, those a lot at the beginning because they relax, they soften the mind, they relax the mind, they help get you to the place where you can then start to focus on the back of your eyelids or whatever focal idea, whether it's a coherent breath. That's a really great practice to study every day if you can, the breathing in for 5 seconds and out for 5 seconds, so that you create this really nice wave of breath. It feels really good, and it's really good for your heart because of what I was explaining earlier about the nervous system and how along that superhighway the parasympathetic nervous system kicks in through the speed of our breath and our relaxed response to life. And that has an effect on the heart. So it's really nice and easy on the heart. It slows the heartbeat, and so that your heart doesn't have to work so hard. It saves energy as well. So anyway, I'm going to leave you with all those thoughts, and happy meditating, and I hope it all helps.